All right, and we're back. Looks like we are in the 16th chapter of Genesis. Uh, Genesis 1? No. 15th chapter. I don't know why I keep saying Genesis 1. It's only one Genesis. Anyways, here we go. Chapter 16. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid, perhaps, and I shall obtain a children by her." And Abram heeded the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. After Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, so he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Wow, so Sarai and Abram and Hagar was just doing what Sarai wanted. And, that's crazy. So instead of waiting for God's promise, Sarai took it upon herself to do what some of us do. So this is the first that we see in the Bible of like a surrogate mother. So let's see what happens after that, huh? And then Sarai doesn't even now she despised her maidservant. And why wouldn't she, she kind of, that's tough. I don't know how you could do that, let your husband be with another woman, but anyways. Then Sarai said to Abraham, "My wrong be upon you. I gave you my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between you and me." Okay, well, I guess the maid, Hagar, I became despised in her eyes. Okay, I got it wrong there. So Abram said to Sarai, "Indeed, your maid is in your hands. Do to her as you please." And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her in a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarah's maid, where have you come from and where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai." So I guess God still had a plan, even though they kind of messed everything up, It's funny how he can turn something terribly wrong into something good. The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit yourself unto her hand." Then the angel of the Lord said to her, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction." And I guess Ishmael means God hears. "He shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren." That's kind of terrible. This guy, I guess because God sees from beginning to end, and he sees what's going to happen. But because this happened, he had a plan for it all. His perfect plan that we'll never understand. Maybe someday or somehow, or anyways. Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees." For she said, Have I also here seen him who sees me?" Therefore the well was called Bir Lahoi Ra. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Okay. So I guess she's at a well. Okay. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. So it looks like we got a new character on the front. Hagar's son, who's not Sarai's son. He couldn't wait, and now they just brought this innocent soul into the world, but like God says, he's going to be a wild man. I mean, he says, his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. What a terrible fate. I guess that's what happens when we try to do something outside of God's power. Hopefully that's a lesson to us all, huh? Alright, well, that's quick chapter 16, and we will see what happens in chapter 17 of Genesis as the plot thickens. See you next time. Thanks for joining.